Hey Canucks fans, is the team inching closer to finally naming a captain? I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram, I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take, for Friday, August the 9th. Welcome to Clay's Canucks Commentary. Right away, I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Darren Walsh of Walsh Pavers. Thank you for sponsoring this video. As always, the link to his website is down in the description. Also want to say a thank you and a shout out to Nikita. He runs a nice channel here called Hockey Nation. I'm going to link to him below as well. And he had me on yesterday as part of his cool 3-question series. And I talked about 3 questions facing the Vancouver Canucks as they head into the next season. Things that I've been talking about on this channel already. But go give Nikita, go give his channel a look. Make sure you subscribe to him. He's doing some really, really good work, and he covers all 31 teams. So basically, he covers 30 more teams than I do. So check that out. Thanks, Nikita, again for having me on. Okay, this morning, Travis Green was on Sportsnet 650. He was on with James Cybulski and Rick Dhaliwal. A nice, I think it was 8 to 10 minute interview, and nothing earth-shattering. It's not like they named the captain or anything yet, but there was a couple interesting things that came out of there. Actually, there's 4 points I want to talk about really quickly. Travis Green came across as very relaxed, very optimistic. He sounds genuinely excited about the season. You might say, well, Clay, all head coaches should do that. Travis Green's always like that, especially in August. But this was a little different. He truly seems like there's a quiet confidence to him, that he's confident in all of the additions, all the makeover of the team, so to speak, over the offseason. So that's the first thing they talked about, was the fact that he likes who Jim Benning has brought in Tyler Myers and in Jordy Ben, and up front in JT Miller and Michael Furlan. So he talked about all those guys, not individually but as a group, and he talked about how they're going to be harder to play against. He talked about they didn't sacrifice any skill. Like, those are skilled guys, especially Miller and Furlan up front, but he did make a point of saying that all these guys are bigger. They make the Canucks bigger, like I said, harder to play against, but without sacrificing skill. So especially when he talked about Furlan and Miller up front, he said these are big guys, big bodies who play with a lot of skill. So that excites Travis Green. And we know Travis Green, like many teams, they want to ice a team, a lineup that has a nice combination of speed and skill, but with size and grit as well. So the Canucks have moved the needle that way. Then the second thing they talked about was basically playoffs and expectations. And Travis Green's not going to go out there and say, oh, I think we're a playoff team, we're going to make the playoffs for sure. But he did say that they're going to push I think he used the word hell. I don't say that word a lot. But he said they're going to push like hell to make the playoffs. They're going to work like it, and that it is very hard to make the playoffs. And he talked about the fact that the team got 81 points last season. You probably need, on a normal season, 93, 94, 95 points, not the 90 you needed last year. So if you need 95 points, they had 81. He said that's 14 points. That's basically 2 points a month. One more win a month. Now, when you break it down like that, it sounds very doable, right? You think of all those games the Canucks lost, 1-goal games, or maybe you put together 2 overtime losses or shootout losses, whatever. That's 1 win a month. Obviously, we know that's easier said than done, but it's not unrealistic to think that with a stronger lineup, the Canucks, on average, should win 1 more game per month this season, and there's your 14-point differential. So they talked very quickly about the playoffs, and obviously that is it's their hope that they indeed become a playoff team, not just for one season, but for many seasons to come. Then the 2 interesting topics, the 2 more interesting topics I found. The first one was Loui Eriksson, and he basically talked about the fact that story from Loui Eriksson in the Swedish paper came out way back in May. Jim Benning has talked to Loui, but Travis Green, still to this day, on August the 9th, hasn't spoken to Loui Eriksson. And he used the term 3 times. He talked about how he didn't like that Loui Eriksson's words came out publicly. He did qualify it by saying, maybe things he didn't use the term lost in translation, but that's what he was getting at. It wasn't an audio interview, it was something printed and in a Swedish newspaper. So maybe, he wants to talk to Loui to hear exactly from Louis's mouth what he meant and how he says it and everything. But the fact that they haven't spoken, June, July, August, 3.5 months later, that says a lot to me. And maybe it's because I'm a conflict-averse person. You guys know I hate conflict, but I'm surprised that Travis Green hasn't had at least one conversation with Eriksson, even if it was a quick 5 minutes saying, hey, I acknowledge what you said, I didn't like it, but let's work this out in September. Not even a call to say that, or it wasn't Eriksson or Eriksson's agent calling Green as well, whether it's not to apologize or simply say, let's talk about this in person. But no communication either way. Benning has communicated with Eriksson, but Eriksson and Green haven't communicated. They're going to save that for training camp. So that's another month. That's September. So that'll be 4 months later. And you could say time heals all wounds, or you're going to say it's going to still be, lingering a little bit. That's something interesting to think about. But if it was me, I know if it was Pettersson, Horvat, or Besser saying something like that, not that they would, but they were beaking off in the media, you can bet that Travis Green would have them on speed dial, would be calling them as soon as he could. So that was kind of interesting. The fact that maybe because I'm all about open communication, I'm all about being proactive, and like I said, maybe because I'm a wimp and I hate conflict, but I am honestly surprised that Green and Eriksson haven't spoken to this day about his comments. I would just, if I was Travis Green or Loui Eriksson, I just want to have that conversation, not avoid it. I just want to have it just to get in the back mirror, the rearview mirror, so to speak, and not have to worry about it, so we can concentrate on moving forward. So they're going to still have that hanging over themselves when they get together in September before they can move forward. And maybe it is a quick 5-minute conversation about expectations, and boom. So we'll see what happens. And then Travis Green ended off the interview by talking about the captaincy, or lack of captaincy, so to speak. He talked about the leadership group that he was happy with, very happy with last year. And I believe that those guys, the leadership group, the official leadership group, the guys who wore A's were Horvat, Sutter, Tanev, and Edler. I think it was 2 forwards and 2 defensemen. That makes sense. Horvat, Sutter, Tanev, and Edler. Then you have guys coming in with a lot of experience, like Myers, like JT Miller, guys that have been around the league for a while. And then you have Jay Beagle, obviously, who came in last season. So there's no question that there's a lot of leadership. There's a lot of good leaders in the room. And then they talked a bit about the merits of having one stated captain, one guy who wears the C. And they joked around about how 95% of people on Rick Dollywell's Twitter poll from yesterday said it should be Bo Horvat. No surprise. We've all been saying that for the past 2 years, or a year and a half, ever since the Cityans announced their retirement in April 2018. So we've all been saying that it should be Bo Horvat, but it's just a matter of when, and when they make that announcement. And Travis Green did say, they're not going to be pressured by the 50th anniversary or 50th season celebrations. They're going to name a captain when the time is right. But it sounds like that time is becoming increasingly nearer, and I wouldn't be surprised if they name Bo Horvat as a captain before the season starts, before training camp, or maybe right when the season starts, between training camp and the regular season. So, again, nothing earth-shattering there, but the fact that Travis Green admitted that they are moving in a direction with the captaincy. He hinted that it was going to be one person as opposed to the leadership group. You still have the leadership group, and the leadership group will support that one person, but he was basically hinting that they are going to name a captain soon, and we all think that the right candidate is Bo Horvat. So those are the 4 things Travis Green talked about. He talked about the additions to the team, how those additions are going to help them make the playoffs, talked about Loui Eriksson, and talked about Bo Horvat. So check out the Sportsnet 650 I'm sure they'll link it up on their site really soon. So check that interview out. I think you'll really like it, and you'll hear the optimism and the excitement in Travis Green's voice. Canucks fans would love to hear what you think about any of those things, the additions, the playoff push, Loui Eriksson or Bo Horvat. Do you agree with me that if it were you, or are you surprised that they haven't talked yet, or do you think that's part of normal business, normal hockey culture, normal hockey business? They'll come together as men in September and figure it all out. And are you of the mind, like basically everyone is, that Bo Horvat should be our next captain? And when do you predict they will actually name that and make that official? Leave a comment below. I love to read, react, and reply. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Enjoy the day. God bless. Go Canucks, go.